Your Honour, I call Philip Nagle, who is presently...
Mr Nagle, would you stand for me, please? Will you take an oath on the Bible or an affirmation?
Oh, definitely an affirmation.
Would you just repeat after me, please? I do solemnly, sincerely and truly
I do solemnly, sincerely and truly
declare and affirm
declare and confirm
the evidence I shall give to this Royal Commission
the evidence I shall give to this Royal Commission
shall be the truth,
the truth,
the whole truth,
and
nothing but the truth.
nothing but the truth.
Yes, thank you. Take a seat, please. Yes, Ms Finnis.
Thank you, Your Honour. Would you tell the Royal Commission your full name?
My full name is Philip Francis Nagle.
Mr Nagle, you've made a statement to the Royal Commission dated the 17th of March this year.
That's correct.
And the contents of that statement true and correct?
Yes.
I tender the statement.
It'll be 28-4.
Mr Nagle, I invite you to read your statement.
Yep. Just a couple of things before I start. I do not have legal representation as I've done nothing wrong. A few people have asked me about lawyers and that I haven't got one. I'm going to read through the first 6 pages of my statement, then I'll be happy to answer any questions. Then I'm going to read the final part, which is page 7. This statement made by me accurately sets out the evidence that I'm prepared to give to the Royal Commission into institutional responses to child sexual abuse. The statement is true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief. My full name is Philip Francis Nagle. I was born in 1964. I am currently 50. I grew up in a strong Catholic family with my parents, my older brother and younger sister. I went to St Bridget's Primary School in Ballarat until I was in grade 4. In 1973, when I was 8 years old, my brother and I transferred to St Alepius Boys Primary School in Ballarat, which was run by the Christian Brothers. When I was in grade 4, I used to go to recorder lessons after school sometimes. From the church side of the school, I could see into the grade 5 classroom through some small holes in the whitewash which covered the windows. I saw Brother Stephen Francis Farrell, who was a teacher at St Alepius, playing catch and kiss with my brother in the classroom. I also saw Brother Farrell doing the same thing with at least 2 other boys. Although I saw what was happening, I didn't understand what it was at the time. In grade 5, Brother Farrell became my teacher. I was 9 years old. At that time, Brother Robert Best was the principal of St Alepius Boys Primary School. Brother Gerald Leo Fitzgerald was the grade 3 teacher. Father Gerald Ridsdale was our parish priest. Brother Edward Dowland, now Ted Bales, was the grade 5 teacher before Brother Farrell. Brother Farrell, Brother Best, Brother Dowland and Father Ridsdale have all been convicted. I understand there have been over 100 victims and 150 convictions for child sexual abuse between them. Brother Fitzgerald is deceased. While I was in grade 5, Brother Farrell took me into the first aid bay where the sports equipment was kept. It was adjacent to the staff room. He took off his glasses and started to wrestle with me. He pinned me down and took off my pants. He pulled up his black gown and removed whatever he was wearing underneath. He was trying to penetrate me as I continued to struggle. I was on my back. He was laying on top of me. He stood up and left the room without saying anything to me. I was all wet between my legs and now realised that he had ejaculated on my genitals. Another time, Brother Farrell abused me in the little library at the back of our classroom. He placed his arm across my throat so that I was choked and struggling to breathe. He was just too strong. I would know when an attack was coming because he would always remove his glasses first. Brother Farrell abused me multiple times during grade 5 in a number of different locations at St Alepius Boys Primary School. There are other times when he could have abused me, and he would normally have abused me, and instead he would just look at me and smile. It was a scary time. I couldn't work out what I was doing that made the abuse happen, because the physical pain made it feel like I was being punished. I felt I couldn't tell anybody about the abuse, mainly because I didn't understand what was happening. In grade 4, my school report had comments such as, Phil has good knowledge of subjects. Phil has had a good year and should do well in grade 5. By the end of grade 5, my school report said, Philip is very careless in presentation of work. It appears he dislikes school. I still have the report cards showing this. My first thoughts of taking my own life occurred during the School 5 camp. The camp took place in the Grampians. Brother Farrell had already sexually assaulted me twice since we'd been there. I thought about jumping off the cliff known as the Pinnacle. I was standing over the edge and the wind was the only thing holding me up. Towards the end of grade 5, I recall Brother Farrell taking another boy out of the classroom. I later saw that boy running through the playground away from the school. I remember I was glad that it was him, not me, that had been taken out of the classroom by Brother Farrell. Years later, I spoke to this boy. He said he had told his mother what Brother Farrell had done, and that his mother and his uncle went and confronted Brother Paul Gabriel Nagle, who was in charge of all the Christian brothers in Ballarat. After this event, Brother Farrell stopped teaching at the school, and I believe he may have left the Christian brothers. After leaving St Alupius, Brother Farrell continued to visit our family at our property, which was in Bunding, about 20 kilometres outside Ballarat. It was during one of these visits I witnessed him sexually assaulting my brother in our bedroom. I also recall that on one occasion Brother Farrell came to stay with our family when we went on holidays to Queenscliff. Having been a man of God, our family's door was always open to him. After I was sexually abused, I came to think that that was what all adult males did to children. I always made sure I didn't get caught out alone with any adult males, including my dad. I made sure that I put a mechanism in place so I would not be in that situation. After I finished grade 6, I went to St Patrick's College in Ballarat as a weekly boarder. St Patrick's was also a Christian Brothers school. At St Patrick's, I made sure I never got myself into a situation where I could be exposed to sexual abuse again. I picked subjects which had lay teachers to avoid being around the Christian brothers. I left home when I was 15. I wanted to get out of school and away from my family. I didn't have any friends and didn't trust anyone. I moved to Geelong and boarded with a family there. I got a job with Telecom. I started to realise that not all adult males abuse children. In 1984, my mother confronted me about my lifestyle. I was drinking a fair bit and taking drugs. This confrontation occurred in the middle of a friend's 21st birthday party. I told my mother that I'd been sexually abused by the Christian brothers, and I told her that my brother had also been abused. About a week later, my mum called me to say she had discussed the issue with my brother, and he had denied that anything had happened. She told me that I made it up as an excuse. This drove a wedge between me and my family for many years. In about 1996, my brother disclosed to me that he had also been sexually abused by Brother Farrell, and we decided to report it to the police. It was not until Brother Farrell stood up in court in 1997 and admitted that he committed the child sexual abuse against my brother and I that we felt we were finally believed. Detective Senior Constable Paul Jolly of Ballarat Criminal Investigation Branch took my statement on the 2nd of August 1996. He was very strategic about what we included in my statement and what Stephen Francis Farrell was to be charged with. We only took Stephen Francis Farrell to court for 4 offences, which included the lighter side of the sexual abuse in the hope that he would plead guilty. Detective Senior Constable Jolly was very good in the way he guided me through that. I told the police the names of the other kids who I knew had been abused. I identified these boys as they had also been removed from the classroom by Brother Farrell, and you could tell by the look on their faces when they returned that something had happened. These names were not included in my statement as the police told me that we could not go victim hunting. Sometime after we made our statement, the police told us they were having trouble locating Stephen Francis Farrell. It took the police some time to find him. After several months, Detective Senior Constable Jolly told me that the police had found him living in Dandenong in a caravan. When Stephen Francis Farrell was being sentenced, I learnt that at the time the investigation was in process, he was working for the Victoria Police, setting up their LEAP computer system. During the police investigation, Stephen Farrell tried to approach me at my workplace in Heidelberg, but I had him removed by 2 other staff. I don't know what his intentions were in visiting me. The whole court process was not a good thing. Farrell kept a matter. Several he guilty. There were supporting. He was witness. He had read the victim. Doesn't give me any. For 9 committed is not in your day. Pointed like this was absolutely disgusted with the sentence. Devastated. Was treated like a trafficker. In my experience, the courts are so out of touch with society by allowing predators like Farrell to avoid prison. Suspended sentences given to child sexual abuse offenders should all be overturned, and they should serve the time they were sentenced to. Stephen Francis Farrell is a prime example of this. 3 victims, 10 convictions, sentenced to 2 years and 3 months jail that were wholly suspended. Not a day in jail for his crimes. This is just not right. However, in some ways, my brother and I are in a unique situation. There's no question about what happened to us because Farrell pleaded guilty in court. Later, Father McGurr wrote an article which was published in the Eureka Street magazine. I believe the article was one-sided and I found it to be quite offensive. In regards to compensation, I think that someone other than the Catholic Church should decide the amount of compensation given to victims of child sexual abuse. The abuse has certainly affected me emotionally. I think it certainly created the very hard person that I am, and it's affected the way I deal with people around me. I've been through 3 marriages and have 2 children. In my previous marriages, when it got to a certain stage where I felt there was too much hurt, I just ended it. I have a good relationship with my 2 children. I had sole custody of them when they were 10 and 12 years old. They are aware that I was sexually abused as a boy and are proud of me and proud of what I am doing. I tried counselling in about 1997, but it just didn't help me. You can't change what has happened. The fact that my brother and I were sexually abused has been so hard for Mum and Dad. Both their boys as 9-year-olds were sexually assaulted in a school they put us into. They are devastated. My parents never received an apology from Brother Nagle, even though Brother Julian MacDonald said they would receive one. Brother MacDonald later told us that Brother Nagle was too ill to travel to speak with them. I have a photograph of my grade 4 class at St Alepius. There are 33 boys in that image. Of the 33 boys in that image, I know that 12 are dead. I believe they committed suicide.
I have no questions of the witness, Your Honour.
Does anyone else have any questions? Thanks, Mr. Nagle. Thanks.
There's just one matter that I think the witness wishes to raise, which is set out on page 7 of his statement.
Yep, so go for that now.
Yes.
Yep. I would like all those here today to take some time now to reflect and remember our classmates. Our classmates who could not come to terms with the trauma and hurt caused by the abuse they suffered. Our classmates who took their own lives to end their suffering. For all my classmates and for all your classmates who are no longer here with us, stand together now and observe a minute's silence in their memory.
Very well. Yes, thank you.
I would like to thank the Commissioners and the Royal Commission for showing us the compassion and taking the time to come to Ballarat. St Olympia's Boys Primary School was a place where there was true evil. For the victims, their families and the Ballarat community, this is a great opportunity for us to be heard and acknowledged. We believe that through this process, true justice will finally be served. So thank you. I cannot forget, I cannot forgive, I am one of the survivors.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Nagle. Thank you for your... Thank you for your evidence. It's necessary for me to say to you that you are excused.